welcome, Victoria. Please tell us more about you. What do you do for a living? And tell us more of your achievements.
Okay, so hi, Dawn. I'm kind of apprehensive about our discussion today, but I will do my best to take things step by step as against rushing. So you've asked me, what do I do? So I'm at University College London, and I'm in the faculty, which is the Institute of Education, which used to be a university on its own before it emerged with UCL. And I'm in the department, which is Education, Policy and Society. So I give you that as a starter. So I'm not on the teacher ed side. I'm on the side where it really, I suppose, looks more at the sociology, psychological aspects of within the context of education. I have two particular interests of research. One is around gender and leadership, and the other one is looking at Black girls and young Black women and their educational experience and well-being within the context of the UK. So they're the two particular areas of research. So my particular job is, I suppose it has different facets. You would know as an academic that is a teacher, so you do have to lecture, you do lecturing. The other part, which is also fundamentally important, is that you publish. So you have to write and publish it in peer-reviewed journals and books and things like that. Another area which is also important is you do research, and you do active research. So it's not you say you've done research once and that's it. You're continually doing research, and the aim is that you get more crafted and you develop more to develop bigger pieces of research on things like that. And then another aspect of it, which I think is really important, is university citizenship. And I suppose that's something I've always been part of, is really getting involved in the university of different things. I think more recently, but not more recently for me, but more recently for people to be acknowledged for what they do, but I've done it as always, is community involvement, because I feel for me as an academic, sitting in the ivory tower is something different to being part of the community. And I think without the community, you wouldn't sit in the ivory tower, because you need to be able to work with the community, and the community helps you with your research, and the research helps with the community. That's how I see myself as an academic. So I don't see myself as a cut-off. You know, the community helps me and I help the community, and I think that's really important. What else? I think, what else about me? I'm very international, so, and I'm not international thinking, oh yes, I've just done a couple of papers which talk about international. I teach in Germany. I have commitments in Germany, so I do Germany. And I do that at least once or twice a year, which is really good. But I've done a big project in Pakistan as well. And that was for 4 years. I've done a big job in Pakistan, a research project with a colleague from Leicester, University of Leicester. That taught me a lot, and that was on gender and leadership within higher education. Now from that, I've had lots of contacts from that. I've been backwards and forwards, I've done keynotes, a whole range of different things. I've got Germany, I've got Pakistan, Azerbaijan. Done some stuff in Azerbaijan, really nice place. The US, really, really fabulous contacts in the US as well. Ireland, I did 2 years in Ireland and had a stint of different stuff, and I've still got contacts in Ireland, and I'm quite fond of Ireland. So you can see I've got a spread, my work spreads across what's happening. So within the UK, I suppose I've got two things which people look at with me. Is I'm really passionate about identity, intersectionality, and how that itself helps what we're doing. So you see it through that lens. Um, I work quite a lot with colleagues from the business schools because I feel that I'm more of a disciplinary, kind of interdisciplinary person. So you can't really just put me into one box. I fit into different disciplines across the academy, especially around business. And I find that in the way we are at the moment, I think that's really important. And I think I'll just tell you a couple more things, and then I'll move on to what else you want to ask me, if that's okay. I think another point, which I think would be of interest, is that I suppose a couple of my achievements, but I don't know whether they're called as achievements or things which I'm doing. So last year I was elected to AERA, on the governance of AERA, which was the membership at large for the executive SIG. Now, AERA is the American Education Research Association, and it's the biggest education research association in the whole world. And to be elected to that is a big thing. Also, within the team of governance of people, there is very little international input. So I was elected to be part of one of the levels of that. That's a really good thing. I've also recently been elected as a assistant editor for one of the top journals, an international journal as well, where you actually get a stipend with it. That doesn't happen very often to do that. I'm also the conference chair for BELMAS, and BELMAS is the British Educational Leadership Association. So I'm conference chair for that. So I'm just giving you some of the, I suppose, accolades which are part of, which goes with my business, my kind of standing of who I am, really. So I'm sure things will come out about that. Anyway, so that's what you asked me what I do. So that's what I do.
Oh, well done. Yeah, that's quite a roster of achievements. Well done. So you spent time in Germany. So you speak German?
I don't. I can understand. I'm starting to understand more. I had a DAAD, which is scholarship from Germany, and that's competitive as well. I had that, which I did it for 6 months, but I did it in a way which enabled me to do it every other week. So I'd go to Germany every other week.
Yeah.
So I'd be in England one week and Germany the next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, a lot of travel.
Yeah.
Okay. And how about Pakistan? Were you speaking mainly English there, or did you learn the language?
Oh, no, English. No, it's English. Yeah. Yeah. I was connected to 4 universities out there. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, done. So tell me about your early life. Tell me about your childhood, and what series of things happened that enabled you to now become an academic later on in life?
I'm not sure if it did, actually. I mean, I don't know whether it worked in that particular way. I didn't grow up in London at all. I started my life in Devon, North Devon, Barnstable, in a rather large house, I suppose. I was adopted by German Jewish parents from about the age of 5 months. It started off as a private situation. So my adopted mother comes from a very upper class background. My mother begged her to have me through a train window when she, so I was, like I said, about 5 months old when that happened. So I grew up with no contact with Black people at all. None at all. From Devon, I moved to Somerset, which was a small village, hunting village. And so the Quantock Hills was my stamping point. It was where I used to play. I was always a very bright young lady, but I didn't really take much notice of that. I can use the terminology now, but I wouldn't have used the terminology I'm going to use now. I suppose I was one of those young people which was dumbed down. My my intellect, not just to fit in, but because I used to always come top in the class, without any support, I wasn't really wanting to be top of the class, if that makes sense. I was okay. There was none of wanting to be top of the class. It just happened. And I would feel, I mean, if I look at it with my lens now, I can see people struggled because they wanted to be that, but I'd happy to give it to them. And so I did dumb myself down.
Genius looks like, isn't it?
Sorry?
This is what genius looks like.
Oh, I don't know about such things really. I think I've spent my life trying to dumb myself down and minimalize who I am, so it doesn't get in the way for others, but also give away what I've had. So lots of people, when I came to London, saw me as privileged, and I was the posh girl. I've tried to ensure that my accent isn't as much as it was when I first came to London, because I suppose one could argue it was very, very white, whatever that means, and people were very uncomfortable with it. So I've tried my best to try and add bits and pieces of, kind of maybe London talk into my everyday conversation, which doesn't come naturally because it just doesn't come naturally because I didn't grow up in London. So, and I suppose what I'm saying about that is that I'm also very aware of theoretically my privilege, but my childhood wasn't privileged in a way which you might think privilege comes. There was lots of issues there. So I've always been very conscious of my perceived privilege, and always, and maybe because of my mother being Jewish, was a pioneer, I've always wanted to be involved with marginalized groups because I feel that's what I need to do. That's what I feel I need to do, but it's always given me the toughest thing to do it. So so my childhood, so that was the half of it. And the other half of my childhood, I was in Ramsgate and worked in Broadstairs, worked in Canterbury. That side of Kent is kind of, they call it the Kentish man as against the man of Kent. The man of Kent is more kind of Dartford, Gillingham, nearer to London, where the Kentish man isn't quite like that. So again, very white, very, very white area. So I went to hotel management school, not because I couldn't do anything else, but because I didn't want to do anything else. I decided that I was going to sabotage my progression. So one of the things I was going to do, I thought about doing, was to be a forensic psychologist, because I was very interested in, and I'm still, that's why hence research. I like to see what's going on. I always ask the critical questions. So I went to hotel school, and my mother's her son went to hotel school, and a lot of posh kids go do those type of things at hotel school, things like that, PR jobs, whatever. So I did that, and did very well in that, but was faced with a lot of discrimination. I suppose one of the things, and I'm going to meander, so you have to bring me back, but one of the things I noticed when I came to London is that I faced for the first time people saying a terminology which I never used, didn't grow up with that, which was, I can't do it because. And I'd never grown up with that, because I suppose what I did grow up with was entitlement, that there was no, there was never in the conversation that you can't do this. It was, the conversation would be, I will do this. So it's a very different conversation, which maybe we'll come back to.
It is, definitely.
So I've always had that conversation. I've never had a conversation where you have to ask permission, but that's my background in relation to, that's what it's like when you've grown up in the house as against you've been invited to the house. So yeah, that gives you a little bit of my childhood. But I suppose one thing about my childhood, which I suppose would be of interest, is that being a black child in a white household isn't the easiest of things. So my mother really didn't understand issues around race. So I was called her little pickaninny.
Oh,
And,
kidding.
yeah, but you know, I mean, that's another story. It's not a story for today, but yeah. So my understanding of who I was or what that meant was that was part of my childhood. So the childhood experience of race is very different to London childhood experience of race. I always say that the London's experience of race is more sophisticated. The experience outside of London is more raw. It's completely raw.
Yeah. How did you get on at school?
In what way? I went to girls' school.
As the only black child,
I went to girls' school.
Yeah.
So, but what was interesting as a teenager at 12 or 13, going to parties and that, no one would ever want to dance with me. No one. I was an alien. So why would they want to dance with me? I mean, now, of course, people see it as accessory. So they want an accessory standing next to them. But no, people wouldn't want to dance with me. They wouldn't want to associate with me and things like that. Yeah.
Did you make really good friends at school that perhaps you're still friendly with now?
I made some good friends at school. I mean, all my friends were white. My first black friend I made wasn't at school. They lived in Gillingham but came from London. And she's still a good friend of mine. I mean, I may talk to her maybe once every 6 months. I may not talk to her for a year, but I can pick up the phone and talk to her.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, when I came to London, I did get into having all black friends. Some of the black friends just didn't understand me because they really felt, I mean, people used to turn their back on me as soon as I started to speak. They didn't understand the complexities of what black means because, you know, people just saw me as a sellout black person, not understanding or wanting to understand my background and what that meant, which is very different to their background. I didn't grow up with my parents. I didn't have anything to do with my parents. I didn't have anything to do with any black people at all my whole life until I got to a certain age. So that's a big confession to make. You know, no grandparents, uncles, nobody around me, no understanding of how to do my hair, nothing. Not knowing how to cream my skin. I didn't know anything like that. But you see, what the difference is that being what I was, coming from that kind of class background and old money, not new money, there was not, materialistic stuff didn't really count. There was, you know, yeah. So anyway, so that's that.
So did you have adoptive siblings in the house?
Yeah, my brother grew up with me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How was your relationship with him?
He was my brother. He's my little brother. So, you know, it was really good. It's very different now. I mean, I'm close, but not as close.
Okay.
His wife's Greek Cypriot, and she's been on a steep learning curve. I think she's more looking at things a bit better than what she used to.
Okay. And your parents? Are you in touch with your parents? Your adoptive parents?
They're dead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So yeah, but they were old when they took me on. My mother was 58. So.
And you were not able to track down your real mother?
That's another discussion. I don't want to talk about that.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah. That's another discussion.
I hope that you found sort of close enough friends in London whom you can think about them as family.
I wouldn't use the word, I mean, I'd use the word that I've got some very close friends, yeah. I wouldn't say about whether they're family and things like that. I think family in itself is an interesting concept, but I've got some very good friends, very good friends who I know that if I rang them up in the middle of the night, they would be picking up the phone and saying, what's going on?
Yeah. Well, some people would say that family isn't all that it's cracked up to be in some cases, you know. So some people
have their... I've tried to make family really good for me with my daughters.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
But it's still complicated because everybody's individuals.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, all individuals. But my dogs are my best friends.
Oh, dogs, more than one. How many do you have?
I've got two.
2 dogs, and how many daughters?
3 girls.
Oh wow. Oh, that's
My youngest is more of a handbag.
okay. Okay.
She's getting older now. She's 15, but she's always in she's always goes away with me and does quite a lot of different things. Yeah.
Well, enjoy it, because another 10 years time, they might not want to be the handbag. They'll be like, no,
Yeah.
go on your own, Mom. I'm not coming with you.
Yeah, well, she does that now. So yeah, so that's me.
You went into to do a course in hotel management. What happened after that? Did you actually work in a hotel for a while?
I decided to teach it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I did work in hotels and that from the age of about 11.
Oh.
And I was very good at that. I won lots of awards for being a chef, and also accommodation management and all things like that. And my aim was, and I got offered something in Switzerland, but my aim was always to try and be a general manager. That's what I'd like to have done. I like hospitality, and hospitality was the best thing for me because I was extremely, extremely shy, and being around at Christmas time and things like that in hotels is just fantastic. So yeah, I mean, I tried to get onto the trainee management courses, and I went up to different places to be interviewed and things like this. And my name was Victoria Lane at the time. And when Victoria Lane turned up, it wasn't what they wanted. So I didn't quite get on to the... I didn't get the management courses. So I thought, okay, let's do some teaching. So I got into teaching. And it's a top place. I started teaching there at the age of 21.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But that must have been disappointing, showing up for the job and then...
I never developed disappointment. I always used to see it wasn't meant to be, and let's utilize that into something positive.
Oh,
that's what I always did.
Oh, you're quite pragmatic there.
Yeah.
You turned your lemons into lemonades.
Always.
Oh, that's good. You sound like a positive and optimistic person.
Yeah. I mean, as I get a bit more older, it's a bit more exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you start to realize that the chessboard, you've got to really work. I mean, I used to be very good at chess, and you've got to really work the chessboard now.
I hear you.
Okay. You know.
All right. So then you started teaching hotel management, and then tell me what happened after that.
Oh God, I had both my daughters by the time I was 21. I was married. I bought my first house at 18.
Wow.
19. No, 18. Yeah, I had my first house at 18. Married at 19. First child, second child. My ex told me he was gay. And,
what?
Yeah.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah. So yeah.
Oh, that must have been hard.
Well, I didn't know what it was. I'm a country girl, so.
Oh, okay. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, you live to tell the tale.
Oh yeah. My first husband was gay, and the second husband. So one was feminine, and the other one was an alpha male. So one was effeminate, and one was alpha male. The alpha male was the one who was domestic violence. So you go from one extreme to another.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So yeah. So anyway, yeah. So I did that. I worked at Canterbury. I worked at Broadstairs, and then I went to Canterbury and worked there. And then I desperately wanted to work in London, and it was so difficult to get into London because they wanted London experience. They wanted urban experience. I had none of that.
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to get that? It was just so difficult. But I managed to get a job at Westminster Westminster College, which was very much a flagship college at the time.
Yes.
And the principal was lovely, and she took me on. She really wanted me.
Oh.
And yeah, I mean, that was that. I worked there. They loved what I did. I was fresh air. There was a part in the college, one of the sites was at Battersea, and I used to either drive up from Kent, or I'd get the train up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I remember I used to go, if I got the train, I'd get off at Victoria, run for the train, Battersea, 2 stops, whatever it was, and walk through the train station. I remember I used to be all very, very chatty to everybody. I remember the ticket guy, used to say to me, "I'll ask you a question." I said, "Yeah, of course. Are you married to a white man?" And I said, "White. Now, why would you think that?" I say to him, "Why would you think I would marry to a white man?" He said, "Oh, I don't know everything about you." I said, "Oh, well, you have to keep thinking then, won't you?" You know. And I got involved with the Doddington Rolo opposite us, which was because it was right opposite the big estate, a council estate in Battersea. I don't know whether you know it, but it's one of the biggest council estates. And inside the university, inside the college, there was, I mean, this is quite significant really how I get into my work. There was people saw the college as very prestige, and it was very much white, very middle class white people coming to do things with people at college, you know. And there was an area in the college, and it was a very old building, beautiful building. And people would say, "Oh, you know, you can't go to that area." And I'd say, "Why can't you go to that area? And I'm just Miss Innocent." "Oh, no." And they think I knew. I said, "Well, why can't you go to that area?" "Well, it's, you know, it's not very nice students." I said, "Well, if they're not very nice students, why are they in the college, you know?" So I wandered along to that area, and wandered along to that area, and it was black students, and I went in there, and people would say to me, "Oh, you can't go in, it's dangerous." No. So I went in there and I got talking to the young people, and I said, "Tell me what's going on. Why do people, what's going on?" Anyway, we got talking, and they said, "Oh, they don't care about us," and all this, that. So I got the dialogue going. I got that dialogue going. And there wasn't many people looking like me in that college. And there was a couple, but they wouldn't go down that road. They would buy into the same thing. "Oh, these young people are not rubbish and this and that." I said, "They're not rubbish. These are young people which you've brought in to do a course with you." So I spent a lot of time with them. But then there was a nursery across the road, and we needed a nursery. So I developed a relationship with the Doddington Rolo Community Centre. And if you know much about that place, that's very much a significant thing. So what I did, I brought the community into the college, whereas normally the college never went over to the community at all. And so I saw this idea, look, we need some childcare places. They've got a nursery which needs some money in it. Let's put a package together between the two. I designed that. It was a community partnership with a college.
Well
that
done.
was me.
Well done.
That was me. And people thought, "Oh my God, this is fantastic. We need to write about it, talk about it." Go back to what I said to you before. Dumb it down, minimalize it, tick it off. It's okay. It's all right. It's something, but it's all right. But when I think back on it, it's not what everybody can do. It's what I did. And it was very, again, a pioneering piece of work, which was developed a partnership between a council estate and the college, which had never been done. And out of that, they then started to put some apprenticeship stuff in the community. Hairdressing was set up. There was mechanical set up. So where they were teaching it in the college, they were then doing it on the grounds of community. So I suppose that, and then from that, I did a sabbatical. I did my master's, and I did a sabbatical. And my principal said to me, "Look, Victoria, you're a single mom and everything else. How are you going to cope with a sabbatical?" I said, "I don't know. I'm sure I'll find a way." And she then said to me that a friend was looking for someone to do a research, to be a researcher for her. And I didn't really know what that was. I mean, I'd done my degree and everything, and so I went along, and they accepted me at Kingston University. I did the project. It was a project which there had been 17 projects funded. That was one of the projects, and it was looking at the numbers of, it was looking at ways of increasing the numbers of teachers black teachers into higher education, and also looking at their experiences and ways to actually retain them. So that was that project. When I stepped into university, when I finished my sabbatical, I never went back to FE at all. That was it.
Oh.
So I was Kingston University 1 year post, and I went up to Scotland, up to there. Yeah.
Well done, well done. Well, thinking about all that you've done and seeing that Black people are very much in the news at the moment with the George Floyd murder and Black Lives Matter protests, which are taking place all over the world, even in parts of the world where you would think that they wouldn't care about Black people. They're marching, saying Black Lives Matter. So that's been fascinating. What has been your take on all of this?
When you say take, what do you mean by take?
How have you felt about the video about George Floyd's demise? And how have you felt about the protests afterwards?
Well, the actual video, I didn't really watch it that much. I watched aspects of it because it's too painful. I thought it was, let me just step back a bit. The video was horrendous. Let's just be honest about that. It was horrendous. That somebody is dying on camera. That in itself is horrendous. To see a Black male die on camera is horrendous. But I suppose I've been numb to it because there's been so many which have been dying on camera. Look at the guy about 2 years ago who was shot in front of his child and his partner in the car. That was horrendous. And he kept saying, I didn't have a gun. So seeing George Floyd and watching the life drain out of him was really, really horrible. Seeing what's gone on with Black Lives Matter before that started to galvanize. I think seeing George's life fading away in this timely moment was significant, given the fact that everybody was on people were on lockdown, or there was a different thing to think about. And I think people perhaps it's given them an opportunity to reflect on themselves. So I think that's why perhaps people had time to just think about this. Whereas we've had lots of deaths before, but they've just kind of, that's that going on over there. But I think it was that particular coming together where people made a difference, possibly. Black Lives Matter, I was very proud of my girls. Charlotte hasn't been, she's only 15 and I didn't have time to take her, but my two older ones have been on the demonstrations. I think it's really good that young people are galvanized into this. I also think it's really good that they're not doing it in the ways that perhaps may have happened before, where they tear the place down with anger, but they're doing it in a sophisticated way to do things. I think that's a really positive. I hope it continues because I think it cannot be a one thing wonder. Organizations are starting to look at window dressing, or maybe doing a bit more than window dressing. So that's of interest. But what concerns me is that I think about the wasp nest which took place, and one wasp comes out and then they all get flushed out, and then the man comes and deals with the wasps, but the nest gets moved to another place. So I kind of think, will it be that in 6 months' time that it's shifted? Because I say that this is a bit like chameleon, that you see it in one way and then it changes in another way. So I think it's like, I think the whole aspects of racism, sexism is very sophisticated, and people make a lot of money from it.
I think there's a shift though. In a similar way to how Me Too movement started. I think there are now aspects of racism which are coming to the fore, and people are being called out. And companies are scared of being caught on the wrong side of history, scared of looking racist and having people call for boycotts, scared of their bottom line, that if the Black community decide not to spend with them, well, that's 1.5 trillion in America of money that they won't be getting, and perhaps 100 million of finance from Black communities in the UK they won't be getting. So companies are trying to look on the right side of history. Eyes have been opened in terms of the kind of things that we've had to put up with. And it's been fascinating to hear all the celebrities talking about issues of racism that they've had, some of them crying on Instagram about things that they've experienced. And let's face it, anybody, even if you reach to the top, whether you're Beyonce, Jay-Z, P. Diddy, whoever you are, you will have experienced racism along the way. Somebody will try to have blocked you. Some doors wouldn't have opened because they saw your color. People would have been chatting behind your back and looking for you to slip up and fall down. They're just waiting for any opportunity to pull you down. And it's crazy that some of our sports stars, or there was a sports commentator on Sky Sports who was talking about the fact that he was also stopped and searched by the police. And he said, yes, even me, a Sky Sports presenter.
Well, why wouldn't he be?
You know, because
why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he be? Because all they see you as an homogenous group. They see you as Black Dawn. They don't know whether you're Black Dawn in the president or whether you're Black Dawn as the cleaner. They have no idea because they just see you as black. So of course they're going to stop you.
Yeah,
of course they're going to stop you in the car. They've got no concept because they just see you as black. That's it.
Mm. And there's some stories also coming from Black lawyers where they might work for a prestigious law firm in London, but yeah, if they go out to represent the firm, they're looked at as if, oh, are you sure you're supposed to be here? And then when they enter a building, the building that they work in all the time, their security badges checked more than once, because as if the person checking it couldn't believe.
Listen, we know those stories. It's all across society.
Mm.
Whether you're me or I'm Jenny from the block, whoever it is, the whole aspect is, when you're black, you're just black. Mm. Full stop. Doesn't matter if you're prejudiced, you're a top lawyer, or whether you're the top, you own 15,000 shops or whatever it is, you're still black. It's like Jay-Z said, you're a nigger, you're just a nigger. OJ, I don't know if you've seen that. You're just a nigger. Mm. And I think that's what we need to understand, that it doesn't matter whether you've got the biggest house, the biggest wealth. You are just an Niggr. Mm. Full stop. Mm. And I've always understood that. Always. I've never alluded to the fact, well, if I've, materialistic aspect, or I've got the job, and I think that's also to do with my background. Coming from this kind of upper class background, there's no kind of, wow, if I do this, I'm going to be seen in a different light. No, you are who you are. Mm. You're black.
But I think it's interesting that you still have that can-do attitude, whereas you would say, I will do this, not that you can't, And I do like that, because you haven't ever let your race define you and your ambitions, and that's what we need more of. And I presume that when you're working with girls and gender and leadership, you're instilling that into women.
Oh, absolutely.
And into girls in particular, that you can be who you want to be. It won't be easy, and some people give up along the way. And they say, oh, I failed, but they probably give up too soon. And for some people, other things might come in the way, which actually are more suited to the direction they wanted to go in. A bit like you with hotel management. You probably thought you'd be doing that for life. And now you're in a big London university doing great things.
Doing a load of bullshit, yeah. There's something I was going to read you. I did the town hall. I don't know whether you've seen it, but I did the town hall. We, a couple of weeks ago, the 8th of June, I got onto the phone and I got onto the internet and started to kind of, some people were asking various things, and what was it? They were, you know, it was right in the heart of what was going on with Black Lives Matter and all, everybody with lots of emotions, and people, emotional labour was backwards and forwards. And I just share this with you. Then we have a list, kind of whatever, serve list, whatever. So if you belong to, it's called Race Matters or something, and there was lots of discussions going backwards and forwards, and I don't get involved with it that much. I'm very busy and everything, so I took part of that discussion. I just fired off a few questions, and anyway, a couple of people started to say, oh, you know, oh good, we wonder when the conversation was going to happen, or whatever it was, and I just spilled out a few things. Anyway, I was then asked, another colleague said, Victoria, why don't you do a town hall, get a town hall meeting together? I said, no, I'm not really interested. And then she said, well, why not? And I said, well, you know what, well, maybe I'll do it, right? So anyway, I was going to do a town hall meeting at the end of June, but it actually happened on the 18th of June. And this is, I suppose, would be important for you to know. And so what I did, I designed the town hall to ensure, I called it a conversation on race, the lived experience. And it was in UCL, for UCL. And I knew the format I wanted. And so the 900 people connected with that.
Wow.
It was a historical moment for UCL. It never happened with that number of people before.
Wow.
It was, I did it. I had the help of the comms and I had a planning team, but I also had an inner group. And I designed this, shared it. I can send you the link, shared it. And it was a interactive session where I had 4 themes, and the 4 themes had questions under them. And so theme 1 was about the culture. So we asked absolute 3 key questions about the culture, put it out to the audience, and then had a discussion about it. The other one was about well-being and emotional labor and the burden, right? So we had conversations about that question, 3 questions. The other one was about the ethnic minority pay gap. That was another theme. And then the last theme was to do with I called it hidden figures, which is the interpretation of data. So they give you data on gender, but they don't actually give you data which is to do with Black women. Or they bamboozle you with the data about BAME. I don't use that word, you know, because you start looking at BAME and you think, well, what is that? How do you look at the data for BAME when it's everybody? So, you know, so we're having this kind of conversation.
Including the Polish, the Irish, the Baltic.
Exactly, exactly. And to me, my argument is, why don't you put the Polish and the Irish and everybody else into the white category and put that with them and put some different labels on white? But no, you just put everybody of different in one thing, and it's just nonsense. So anyway, so with that, I read out, I'm trying to find it. I read out something, which I had to set the scene, and people kept saying, Victoria, we need your monologue, we need your monologue. You need to make sure that you read something for today. So I'm just going to read a sentence. And so I said, yeah, don't worry, I'll work it out. I said, I'll write something and start it off. They said, we need to hear your voice, even though I wanted to give my voice away. So anyway, so one of the things I said was this, which I think sums up what I did. And I set the scene. So I said this. So I said, the reason for today is really to have a conversation on race within UCL, and I welcome it for Black staff and Black students. So what I said was this: suffering in silence is something that happens with many Black people, particularly Black women, and this needs to stop. During my time at the university, I've suffered neglect, disappointment, rejection, isolation, and loneliness since being at my faculty, full stop. Now it went on to other things, but I've just shared that with you. So that was what I said at the beginning. Okay, I had the provost say some stuff first. Then I got the others to interview themselves, to say things about who they were on the actual planning group and panel. And then I said that statement, which went on for about I don't know, 5 minutes. And I did it very slowly and measured, because that set the scene for what this actual town hall event was going to be. Everybody has spoken about it. They've all said that was unbelievable. They've also said about the chair, which happened to be me, and how I did it. Now, what you will know about me, Dawn, is that how I do things, it makes it look very easy. So people think, oh yeah, that's nothing. It's nothing. But it actually was a complicated situation, and I'd really kind of used all my, the theoretical aspects as well, because I see it as a theory. So that was something recently which I did. I also did something similar about a week before that in the church, and the vicar, and it's a very white church, but there's more diversity in it, and he wanted to have a conversation on race, and I kind of pulled him up on it and said, why, and we did it, and again it was and that was with a group of black.
You asked why?
Huh?
Why?
I did ask him why, yeah, because of the fact that, and he's very high up in the Anglican church, it's because he felt it's the right thing to do and felt that the Lord had been talking to them. So, but it was a really, really, really good piece, really good, went really well. So yeah, so that's the kind of things I suppose we can talk about.
So this town hall, is it available for the public to view?
Yeah, I can send you the link. I'll send you the link.
Oh, it's on the UCL website?
I don't know whether it's on their website, but I can send you the link. I don't know that bit because I've been so busy with writing. I don't know all the stuff. So yeah.
Well done for doing that. And you being so open and honest and raw with your feelings probably helped other people to open up as well. Because sometimes people can talk, but they're not really saying anything.
Exactly.
It's so vague. They're not getting down to the heart of the matter. And you
skating around the edges.
Yeah, you can spot it a mile off, and it's just not real.
Yeah, what you see from me is what you get. I am what it is. I am what I am. Okay. But there's a lot of jealousy around me, which I find very painful.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of jealousy, a lot of envy. From people that look like me, from people who don't look like me. So it's been tough.
Well, you're one of those outliers, though, aren't you? And not many people can get to that situation. So I suppose in a sense, one has to look at how do I include people so that they don't feel that I'm a threat. And maybe that's what happened with the early blacks. I've just been watching this documentary. It's a 4-part documentary on YouTube. PBS did it about the rise and fall of Jim Crow.
Oh, right. Which one was that called?
Well, just what I said.
Was it called that? Okay, because I watched something else similar to that in America.
Jim Crow, and it's 4 parts. Each part is an hour, so you've got to have some time.
Yeah.
But that gives some detailed history about what happened between when slavery ended. I put that in speech marks because we know it didn't really end around that time. By law it ended, but in practice, took quite a while longer. So it was from that period, sort of mid 1800s up to 1960s, really. And it talks about the key people who were involved, who were trying to make change, key black people, as well as, what some presidents did. And the theme keeps coming back to me as I go through this series, and I'm on the 3rd one now, that as soon as black people started to progress, then it's as if the white people mainly became very jealous and decided that they wanted to destroy it.
Exactly.
They felt the black people were getting ahead of themselves. They didn't think much of us, so they were a bit shocked when they began to realize that, okay, we could get educated and we could start our own businesses and have successful businesses. They were ultra shocked when we invented jazz you know, and we weren't doing it from the traditional reading of music like the European did. We were invented our own music around popular songs, and they actually liked it, but they were shocked that it was coming from us because they didn't think that we had the intellect or the
who do you think did music in the first place? It wasn't them, was it?
You know, they were actually very surprised. So in a sense, we weren't fulfilling their stereotype where they thought that, oh, we didn't have a brain and we were only good for hard labor. So I think that same kind of attitude is happening in parts of the world today, where people are feeling that, okay, yeah, this black person is, you know, he may be rich, he may be a basketball player, aka LeBron James, but okay, why doesn't he just shut up and dribble? We don't want to hear what he thinks, you know, we don't want to hear his opinions, you know, he should just shut his mouth and play basketball. They don't want to hear our brains. And then they say that kind of thing, and you think, look at LeBron, you know, at the pinnacle of his career, and yet they're still being racist towards him. Much less people who, you know, who have nothing. You know, they're not going to be respectful to those people either.
It's because I go back to the same thing. They see us as an homogenous group.
Yeah, and if they see us doing well, then they find us a threat.
No, they just see you as black, and that's it. And black means that you belong in a particular thing. They will be very happy if you could just be in their house serving them their drinks. When I went to Jamaica, I've been to Jamaica lots and lots of times, but one particular trip stuck out to me was when I was on a call. I was on a conference, and we stayed not that far from Mobay, and it was a large hotel. And I was just shocked that this hotel was a plantation house. You could see it was a plantation house, an old plantation house with all the little pockets, and royalty had stayed there and everything else. But it was as though they were still in the same time. The people, and the conference was 500 black people. And we set alight to the place because the people who were serving us were in the old traditional slave type clothing, long aprons, that kind of what you see on TV type scenario in the South. And I used to make some noise, and we all made noise. It's fun, and it's the first time they had 500 black people in that hotel, spending money, African American, tearing the place down, and the actual staff were just beaming from ear to ear, even though they were in that kind of shuffling their feet, like the butler, you know, kind of their heads down. But the time after you could see, but after being around us for about 2 days, you could see these guys, whether they're the bar attendant, whether they're cleaning the floor, you saw them grow. And this is in Jamaica. My thing was, how have we got our people in Jamaica like this? I just thought, this is unbelievable. Why is that? Listen, I grew up in the house, but I would be out there burning the place down. No. But it was just nice to see how they just thought, can I talk to them? We'd all talk to everybody, and it was just, yeah. You know how much money we brought into that business, into that. It was a white-owned business, but how much money the tips those black people got from black Americans and black English, or whatever it was. Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing with Caribbean and African countries. A lot of the major hotels and large businesses are owned by white people.
Exactly. And how did that happen? Another discussion.
They're the ones that had the money to be able to buy the real estate, or
they stitch you up because they buy. Somebody was telling about Jamaica when I was out there. You know, they offer little bits of peanut money for a big piece of land, and they don't understand that land at the time. They didn't understand. The same thing in Sierra Leone, same in different parts of Africa. They don't understand what it means when they say, "I'll give you that for that bit of land," not realizing that that's, you know.
I got a stat stats once about Barbados that only 10% of the businesses in Barbados are owned by Black people. And Barbados is a Black country, theoretically. And I was also looking at the legacy of Caribbean islands recently to discover that about 40% of the islands are still owned by their colonies. So they're not actually independent.
That's right. And that's why they keep paying money back. They're never going to be out of the debt.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it really. So I don't know if there's anything else you want to ask me, or that's it done.
No, I think we're going to finish now. It's been most interesting. And what I'm going to do is leave a link to that town hall that you did. I'll leave a link.
I'll do it now.
Under this video, so that people can look at that afterwards.